Welcome to another episode of Love and Reality Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, we have a fun one for you. Going to break down a little bit of a fun data chart that I got from the Love is Blind. I got some people over at BetUS that sent me some charts about who gets married, who doesn't get married, who's likely to get married, some of the background of the sales and stuff like that. On top of that, we're going to break down the episode one, the premiere of The Valley, that debuted on Bravo this past Wednesday night. It will be airing every Wednesday. I think it's 9:30 Eastern time. But I am excited to have Miss Makenzie joining me again this week to break down The Valley. How are you tonight?
Doing good. Hello.
Yeah, welcome back. It was fun doing the show last week. I'm excited. I think the conversations that we've had over the last few weeks, you've nudged me in the direction of the Bravo world. So obviously, if you're listening to the podcast here, I'm not well equipped into the world of Bravo, but I we'll talk more about it whenever we talk about the Valley. But I understand it now. Like I'm only one episode in the Valley, and I was like, I understand it now. But we'll talk about it in a few minutes. But I'd sent you this data. I found it interesting. Like I said, the folks over at usbets.com had kind of they ran a report, which I mean, obviously this took a little while to do, but some of the they took an annual list of all 159 contestants that have been on the show across 6 seasons to find out what professions are most likely to get engaged on the show and what professions are most likely to get married. People working in sales are most likely to get engaged on the show since nine contestants who were engaged were in sales, marketing second at five, real estate and engineering was third with four contestants. When it comes to getting married, though, there was two engineers and two marketing professionals that ended up getting married. The engineers who got married are married to this day, while the marketing professionals have since split up. The remaining couples that got married had a variety of differing occupations. It's funny though, like sales, marketing, engineer, real estate at the top. You had fitness, yoga, flight attendants, PR, communications. Um, just rough off of that? Does any of that really surprise you?
Um, I mean, not really. Fun fact, Jimmy actually works for a competitor of my company that I work at. So I thought that was kind of fun. But after hearing where he worked, I was kind of like, okay, I can see why maybe he would pursue a different potential career.
Yeah, that it's yeah, I have some choice words that I was gonna bring up to you about him here in a few minutes. Just real quick, a few other data points here. Couples who've gotten engaged at a medium age of a 2 year age gap between them, and an average age difference of 3.1 years. The people that split up, couples who end up getting married are still together to this day, have a medium age difference of 2 years. So it's definitely interesting to see that there's not a lot of age gaps between the couples that are kind of still together. I think our biggest age gap was Lydia and Milton. I think that might have been it. I'm not sure 100%, but that's definitely some interesting data. My next question is obviously Love is Blind season 6 is still fresh on a lot of people's minds. Did you get an opportunity to see some of the craziness over the last week? Obviously, the Jimmy Chelsea stuff. They were on Nick Vile's show, which um, I felt like really leaned heavily into the idea that I believe that Jimmy got the best edit, I think, of anybody on the show. And the way they're promoting him, like he was on the Tonight Show, that was insane. Like that's crazy to me. Did you catch any of the aftermath drama that's coming from any of this?
Not a whole lot, honestly. I did listen to the Vile Files with Jimmy and Chelsea when they brought them on to kind of like just finally get to the bottom of where are they at? Are they together? Are they not? So it was nice to like have them literally side by side talking and explaining themselves. Um, it was exactly kind of how I thought it would go. They're just friends. It sounds like they tried to rekindle things and it was unsuccessful. And I don't know. I just felt like, ah, I don't know. I'm just not a Jimmy fan. I mean, I don't think that's like very controversial at all, but I just think that he's trying so hard to get the good at it. I feel like he's really good at knowing how to come at things when there's a camera pointed at him. And he's trying really hard to like not be that party guy, but like deep down, I just think he's that party guy. And that's okay. But
Yeah,
just needs to just be himself.
just own it. You know what I mean? Like own it, own the entire thing. But I feel like I feel like you said, he knows how to turn it on. Like when you see him on the show, like you can, or even on on Nick's podcast, you could see him. He kind of turned it on a little bit to be like, oh, played a little bit dumb, would slightly own something, but wouldn't fully own it to like really bring it full circle to be like, oh, this is 100% on me. I felt like there was just him sliming his, like I've called him Slimy Jimmy for a while now, but I just feel like he just knows how to, and he's capitalizing on what he's got from this show. You know what I mean? He's everywhere right now. And I'm not mad at him for it. You can't be, but also like, isn't that the opposite of what you're supposed to be getting from this show? So I don't know.
Yeah, and one thing with Chelsea, and I think that this will come back and serve her well, like, for the long term. I think that the amazing thing about her is that she really is just being herself in all of this. She always has been. She's continued to be after the show. While the cameras were on, she wasn't afraid to just cry, and even though it was kind of annoying at times, she was able to just be authentic and show her real emotions, whereas I don't feel like we got that from Jimmy. And um even after the show, with the way she's handled all of the backlash from the whole Megan Fox debacle and people mocking her voice and her, I'm claiming, like, all of that, she's handled so well and with so much grace and owning it. And I just feel like that's going to really serve her well in the long term.
I agree 100%. Yeah. I totally agree. I think that it's been impressive because that really could have, there's been times where she's been like very upset, but like how she's kind of handled it because she's taken the brunt of all of this. Like it, especially after that first Megan Fox thing, like that was, I mean, it's still one of the most talked about things on the internet. It's been like 5 weeks, I think it is. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to see when we get the next season. We talked about it a little bit off the air. Love is Blind. UK is coming up around the corner. Can't wait for that. That should be definitely interesting to see those personalities kind of vibe in the pods. You know what I mean? Like that vibe is definitely going to be very different from I think what we see from the US version of Love is Blind. So I don't know. I'm excited about it. I mean, I'm excited about anything Love is Blind. I mean, it's kind of sad. I mean.
And if you're listening to this, let us know if you're going to be watching. I'm really interested to see how popular this is going to be versus the American version.
Agree 100%. That being said, this is a perfect segue to talk about the show that we're going to just break down our thoughts of what happened this week. And obviously, the Valley season 1 premiered on Bravo. It's going to be on Bravo each and every week at 9:30 Eastern time on Wednesdays. And then it's going to be available on Peacock the following day. Just a brief rundown of what the Valley is about. The Valley will center around a group of friends navigating the challenging life in San Fernando Valley. Despite the majority of the cast being happily married with children, the show promises a surplus of drama that the fans have come to expect from the Vanderpump universe. Some of the cast include Jax Taylor and Brittany Cartwright, Christian Doute and Luke Broderick, Danny and Nia Booko, Jesse and Michelle is it Lala? Jason and Janet Caperna, and then of course that's the couples of the show. Now, one of the things that's fascinating, obviously, so again, brand new to this world, I was Googling, and it's not a spoiler alert. It happened. I mean, it's breaking news for the people of Vander. I did notice that Michelle has filed for her divorce with Jesse, which is definitely interesting because like we saw that kind of vibe in the episode. But what did what did you think of that, knowing that even going into this episode?
Oh, I actually didn't even know that, but I did think it was funny when you said happily married couple, because I was like, there's so much contempt between some of these couples. I actually didn't even know that they were divorced, or
Not yet. They're on the verge.
filed.
She just filed for like 4 days ago. She just filed for divorce.
Gosh, so interesting. I mean, and then everything that's going on with Jax and Brittany. I mean, not too much happiness going on between these couples. And I can't help but wonder how much filming had to do with it. I mean, I'm sure there were problems anyway, but how much did it exacerbate them will be really interesting to watch throughout this season. But yeah, all I can say is not terribly surprised.
Yeah, it's and after watching the first episode, I was like, yeah, that I mean, it kind of makes sense. I mean, we really had like what did you as somebody that is familiar with this universe, what did you kind of feel and expect, and then what did you think of the first episode there?
Yeah, I mean, definitely had some mixed feelings about Jax being back on my television. In one way, it kind of felt like a nostalgic, warm hug from the Bravo universe, which, like I said, you're kind of new to this world. It's a deep, deep, dark rabbit hole with a lot of history. But I think for the most part, like people are really excited to be watching him again. He's very entertaining. He's, a crowd favorite, and he's made for television. He's just crazy Jax. So I can appreciate that. And I do love Brittany. I don't know how they've even made it as long as they've made it. If you watched Vanderpump, it just kind of felt like one of those marriages that was a little bit doomed to start with. But we'll see how that, plays out, I guess. And yeah, these new couples, I, wasn't quite sure how to feel about them, but I think they're going to bring it. I think they're going to bring the drama. And I was pleasantly surprised with how interesting everyone seemed. Kristen Doute, she's another one that I'm like so happy to see on my screen again. She's another crowd fave from VPR, and so it'll be interesting to see her with her oddly like very normal seeming boyfriend. So she's like crazy Kristen. Just so to see her like settle down and talk about becoming a mom, and like seeing her with this man that seems so like I think they called him like vanilla on the episode. I tend to agree with that, but like it's nice.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting because again, getting to familiarize with some of these characters. I mean, within the first like 3 minutes of seeing Jax, I was like, I kind of get it. Like he has this very much douchey personality. It was very much a, oh my God, I have so many cameos to make. And then I've got the podcast and the bar. And then I love how everything was followed with the last thing. Of course, he's being a father. Like it was just like a almost like a sub conversation of, oh yeah, I'm a father too, by the way. But he's definitely those two I don't even understand. Like the Jackson Brittany vibe I didn't understand at all. I don't get the chemistry. There's like no chemistry there. It didn't even seem like anytime they're around each other they really even liked each other almost, you know what I mean? So that was definitely interesting. I was very uncomfortable during the entire golf scene. um I It was like a Mean Girls thing almost.
I totally agree with that. I was actually going to say the same thing. It's so funny. Like, I just felt like the women and the men are just filming two totally different shows. Like, you see the women holding each other's babies and saying how they call each other all the time and they love each other. And it just seemed like they were going for a more like wholesome family like content type of show. And then the men come in, and I just feel like it's Mean Boys. Like Jesse's a douche, and Jax is just like a monster. And then you have these other guys that, I mean, we'll get to know them more as things, go on. But I'm just like, oh my goodness, they're just like going for the jugular with the drama. And it's just, it's interesting to see.
Yeah, I was like when Jax just hammers Luke. I mean, he just drilled on him about this baby situation and of his uncertainty of the living arrangement. And well, you live in Colorado, and then he was like, 99% of my life is in Colorado. Yeah, of course it is. Like, this guy lives in, like, I couldn't believe that he like got so offended by that. Like, this guy's livelihood, this guy's house, all of these things are in like Colorado, and Jax was like, oh, 99% of it, but you're trying to have a baby here. Like, fuck
Yeah, and
off. I don't know.
yeah, the funny thing is Jax doesn't even give a shit about like, Kristen. He's just trying to create some drama, stir the pot like he does. And you can tell that he is just not fond of Luke at all. And honestly, I feel bad for Kristen. Like the first episode just being all about whether or not she should be a mom. I think Lala said it really well. It was like a bunch of men talking about motherhood who have never been moms before, and I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah, that pool scene was crazy. Like, the entire pool party. First off, that pool party was like just out of this world. Like, it looked like something I would love to be at just because I love fair food. I mean, can we talk about the aesthetic? Just the entire thing was really awesome, right?
Yeah, tattoos, hello. Like I would absolutely go to a pool party and get a tattoo.
Can we talk? So, like, when she said I'm going to get a tattoo, I legitimately, again, very naive, very stupid. Apparently, I thought they were just like gonna get some of those like fake tattoos. No, we had a full on tattoo artist at this thing tattooing people, and it was hilarious just to be like, oh yeah, I mean, this is just a regular Saturday at the at the household. We were throwing a birthday party, and you can get tattoos, right?
Yeah. Pool parties in the valley, I guess. It's how they
I
go.
know. Exactly. Um, I'll say this. There's like a like few things that I'm like watching. Obviously, you see the Jesse and Michelle relationship obviously on rocks. Obviously, as we know, it dissipated to the fact that she's obviously filing for divorce here. But watching it on the show, they were sitting on the couch, and you get these little mini interviews in between things like you do on most shows, right? And they asked her to describe her husband on the couch, and she couldn't, like, he looked at her she couldn't even think of like a single word to say about him.
Yeah, she pretty much did she say like he's extreme? Like
Yeah,
I
that was
think
the word she finally came up with. I'm like, what is going
yeah.
on?
It was like immediate contempt. You can just feel it in the room with you when you watch them. He refuses to have a picture of her on his phone as his wallpaper, and like I don't know, the my daughter loves me more, and like I don't it was a weird banter between them that felt like jokey, but like there were some fighting words in those jokes, and you can just sense the fact that they're on their last straw, and we're only here at the beginning.
Exactly. I mean, because even the conversation between Jax and Jesse at the pool, like, they were going back and forth about how she isn't happy. And then like Jax is like, well, you guys aren't talking about separation. And he was like, well, she has brought it up. And he was like, oh God, like, that whole thing was crazy. And there was one scene that I don't know of, like, you might have caught it, but Michelle had looked at him at Jesse and was like, "Hey, who has our daughter? Do you want to go check on her?" And he said no. He said no. I was like, "Holy shit."
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty upfront about it. It sounds like he hasn't really grown into the dad role quite like Michelle has grown into the mom role. And, there can be some grace with that. But I mean, Michelle's saying that she does 98% of the work, like 98. Like, I would literally strangle Rob if that was the ratio of us taking care of a kid.
Yeah.
I could never.
And I respect him for saying that. Like, I respect him for saying it's been harder for him to adapt being a father and adapt to fatherhood and stuff like that. But um 98 to 2%, that's not struggling. That's just not being the father at all. Like, you still have to step up to the plate. You still have to assist. You still have to do those things regardless of what you're feeling, you know, emotionally attached to the kid or not. It's still just a crazy thing to even watch that dynamic unfold.
Yeah. Yeah, I would tend to agree. It was an interesting one. How did you feel about Danny and Nia?
So I got some. First off, I will say this. As somebody who loves movies and loves TV shows, when Danny goes, I'm a professional actor, I was like, who the hell is this guy? You know what I mean? I know that I saw a little clip of him back in his Nickelodeon, Disney, whatever days it
iCarly
was,
days.
iCarly days. But I didn't I like him. I think I like him. I think I do.
I think I do. It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, like if the most recent thing he's done though is Walking Dead, like
Making those
I don't
weird ass
know how
noises into the
he's got to be doing something. I want to know like his most recent stuff because Walking Dead's been gone for a long time, and for him to like have a nice house in the valley, I need to know what he's doing now, like for real, for real.
let's see here.
But yeah, I think I like him. He seems nice enough.
Yeah, I do too, and I do like hearing some of the things like he's the opposite of Jesse, right? He's the opposite of Jesse. He's very tentative. He changes the diapers. Like I do think that it was nice to. I felt like they gave us an insight on some of these other people very well by the way they talked about each other and the way they talked about the men and how they were doing certain things. Um, let's see here. She won the Miss USA in 2014. I'm just looking up. Most people recognize, yeah, from iCarly, Hannah Montana. I guess he was on. He does voiceover things for The Walking Dead. Like this guy's
Anything else?
features in episodes of The OC, Desperate Housewives, and The Goldbergs. He's credited
Okay.
in small parts for Bratz the movie, American Pie presents Bandcamp. That's so I that's like
No.
no offense to Daniel here, but yeah, I don't see. Maybe it's her. Maybe she's bringing in the bread. I
Yeah.
guess. Good for them. But I
Yeah.
did. I liked them. I liked them though. For now, well, episode one, I'm okay with them.
I thought it was a
Um,
little dramatic, Nia, like bursting into tears because Danny's pants got pulled down at the pool party. But I will chalk it up to she's like 1 month postpartum. She's got all the hormones flying around. I'm sure that might have played like somewhat of a role.
all right. I'm glad you said that. Okay, because I felt the same way. I felt like it was a little like, and I get it to the point of like, first things first. Jax just being obviously a toddler, I mean, or a teenager in the situation, whatever. Obviously, and to give him a small benefit of the doubt, he probably didn't know that he didn't have any. Well, then again, swimming trunks though, so it's like, hello, I don't know. But when he pants him, I was like, I thought it was like a little overblown. Thankfully, nothing like you could only see his shirt, like because that would have been weird. Like that's just, I mean, I feel like that takes an extra mile because there's like a lot of people there, and there's a lot of kids there.
Yeah.
It was just an
Yeah. It
awkward scene.
wasn't it was definitely like hit Jax being childish, which like what else is new? But also, like, is it the biggest deal in the world? Meh.
I agree. I agree 100%. Let's see. We had was oh, what did you Jason and Janet, right?
Yeah, I thought they were cool. I think they'll be probably the couple that like a lot of people relate to most in like the real world. They seem like they have like a pretty like good amicable relationship. You know, they're pregnant, having their first baby. Janet seems like she's like a firecracker, like definitely has some sass to her, but it sounds like Jason's kind of like the yin to her yang. Like he seems very like calm, level. So I'm interested to see us like to get to know them a little bit better on this show because it sounds like they'll definitely have their like roller coaster as well, but they seem a little bit more like even keel.
Yeah, I did the entire scene with him putting the water like wrapping the watermelon around his stomach and then putting the melons like as like, pretending he was pregnant. That whole entire scene was hilarious. Like I felt like that was such a funny way to kind of really introduce them to the fold, to us as the audience, especially me, just to the audience. Is like it was funny to see that kind of banter, but I definitely was. They're definitely a couple that I kind of enjoyed in that first episode. So give me some overall thoughts of the first episode, and what do you think that we can kind of expect from the show moving forward?
Yeah, I will definitely say it was more entertaining than what I thought it would be. So I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna stick in there with it and see where it goes. So I'm kind of excited. I think there will definitely be a lot of just conflict, not only like within the relationships of, like what we're seeing with Jesse and Michelle and Jax and Brittany. I think there's definitely going to be a lot of just like friend group conflict. Like Kristen and Jax have always had a very hot and cold relationship, friendship, I guess if you could call it that. But I don't know. I I don't really see these people as like all naturally being in a friend group together. So that's the thing that I'm a little bit skeptical about is, are these people like going to be able to pull off being real friends? With the girls, I see it. They all seem like very like friendly. The guys, I just see a lot of macho alpha male, like I don't know, conflict go like bound to happen, which it'll be entertaining. I'm here for it.
Yeah, so I was like 10 minutes, 15 minutes into it. I was like, these people and like I didn't get it at first. Jax was like, I was like, I got him. Like I got why he's such this polarizing. Because I mean, just his demeanor, the way he talks, the way he carries himself, just everything. I got it. However, whenever you kind of shift into the second half of the show and you kind of see a little bit more of the drama, you see, and I like how you said the Mean Boys situation play out and how opposite it is from the Mean Boys, and then you have all the girls kind of motherhood, all these nice warm things that's like very receptive. It almost felt like that was like it's like a college thing, except for we've got like grown ass adults here. You know what I mean? Like it's that definitely a different vibe. By the end of the episode, I was like, I can't wait to watch more. Like I was just like, I I'm not a person that watches like the next time of anything because I don't like watching it, and I'm sitting there like watching the next time like glued to it because I'm like, I need to know what's coming soon. Like it was bad just knowing that. I was like, okay, this is, I see where I saw where you were coming from when you talk about it, and then of course the mass audience of everybody talking about it. So I'm excited. I'm excited. They've got a new viewer. I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited to invest into these characters. I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm gonna be completely honest. I went to a little bit of a deep dive after I watched the episode, maybe a little bit more than I'd like to admit, but trying to learn some of these characters a little bit more. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. Started a little slow, but man, that pool party was crazy.
Yeah. I think we're gonna be in for a ride.
I agree 100%. But yeah, folks, The Valley, like I said, comes on Wednesdays, 9:30 Eastern time, on Bravo, and you can check it out the following day on Peacock. Guys, thank you so much for listening to another episode, and we'll be back next week recapping The Valley again, and who else knows whatever we watch between now and then. But we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye bye.